Today's updates, I'm sure you've all seen them. Very, very big updates. These are going to affect absolutely everyone, whether it's in a good way or a bad way. Extremely controversial because these have not been polled. It is about time. Zora has been nerfed by 30%. Yeah, just out of nowhere, after 2 years of it being in the game. But let's be serious, it should have never been that overpowered in the first place. A consistent 2 to 3 mil per hour, every single hour. It's uncomparable to anything else really, so that's all people used to do. It doesn't give people much variety, they just farm Zora all day, and it ruins the economy. It completely ruins the economy. But here's the thing, yeah, it's been a big nerf, but it is still going to be one of the best money makers in the game because it was just so good before. It's still very good. So some of the drops have been completely changed. Some of them have increased in quantity, some of them have decreased. Now then, here's the argument. Iron Men. People would farm Zora for supplies. You would get more raw sharks from doing Zora per hour rather than fishing them. So if you think about it, is this how the game mode should be played? To an extent, yes, because it makes it more fun, but it shouldn't be that killing a monster is better supplies than actually doing the skill itself. I agree, Iron Men shouldn't go gather the supplies themselves because it is very, very tedious and it's not too much fun, but Zora was a little bit too overpowered. I still think you should gather supplies in different methods rather than doing the skill itself, but 100 sharks a drop, yeah. However, the Iron Men who have benefited off this for a couple years have a great advantage over the players who haven't got there yet. That's the problem. This should never have been a thing in the first place. So here's a list of all the drops which have been changed, which is going to benefit the economy a lot. However, the only effect it's going to have is on the Iron Man, but it was just way too overpowered in the first place. So Runite ore has been decreased from 10 to 2. That is huge. Mahogany planks have been replaced by mahogany logs. I guess that's a money sink because obviously you need quite a lot of cash to revert the logs into planks. Seeds have been reduced. That's going to have a big effect on the Iron Man. They dropped 100 magic logs at a time. Now they drop 35 U logs. So that is some big alkaballs, which you can't get anymore. Dragon bones from 30 to 12. Maybe green dragons will be more profitable. Raw sharks have been replaced by cooked manta rays. So instead of 100 raw sharks, you're going to get 35 manta rays. Damn. I mean, cooked manta rays heal 2 HP more than the sharks, but GG cooking XP. In my opinion, obviously not everyone's going to agree with me, I like the Zora nerf. It should have never been a thing in the first place. It has been in the game for way too long, so it's better now than never, because the most important thing is the health of old school RuneScape. We don't want it to go downhill, we need it to keep on going up. Zora ruins the economy, and yeah, just like the points I've explained. They have completely nerfed the Serpelm. This is one I don't think I can agree with, but I sort of understand the points. Its outstanding stats and venom poison effects leave us very little room to introduce helmets of a similar tier. It is a near impossibility to design around the helmet in its current state without damaging the long-term health of old school. So yeah, thinking of the health of old school, that's the main thing. To address this, we have now made a couple of changes to the Serpelm. This helmet will no longer apply venom to enemies. All I can say to that one is good game, Sir Pugger. Brilliant timing. He just uploaded a video yesterday, 500 hours to make this account, and it was one of those Serpelm tanks, and you need venom to kill the opponent. I feel sorry for Pugger, man. Oh my god, like legit. Sort of made obby tanks kind of dead. People need venom to kill their opponent. Not only that, the strength bonus has been reduced from 5 to 3, so it's the exact same strength bonus as the Knit is Not Helm, which sort of doesn't make much sense because the Knit is Not requires 55 defense, the Serp Helm requires 75, but obviously the Serp still immunes you from poison. Yeah, Serp Helm is a difficult one. I can see where they're coming from. It's impossible to really bring another helm into the game when that one is so overpowered. So I really don't know. I really don't know. You guys will have to let me know. It's one not many people like. Maybe they should make it a lot more expensive to use so people don't use it fucking everywhere. Like, uses more scales. Here we go. We're just getting started. We are just getting started. The Void range set has been nerfed. Yeah. The set requires 42 defense in combat stats and level 22 prayer to equip. It provides a 20% damage boost and 10% accuracy boost for ranged combat. Aside from the time invested, it is free to obtain. In its current state, it is simply overpowered. This set outclasses even the highest tier ranged equipment in game in many scenarios despite having substantially lower requirements. I completely agree. Void ranged is so easy to obtain. It is so cheap to repair in PvP, and it is still better than any other ranged armor in the game. So it is pretty much impossible to bring out any new ranged gear into the game when Void is just so cheap, so easy to get, and yeah, pretty much costs nothing. Don't get me wrong, it's still going to be strong, but it has been nerfed to 10%. The thing about this one is it has completely ruined a lot of people's accounts. People make specific Void ranged pures, you know, these defense tanks and everything, where they need Void, and they've just wasted all the hours into the account. But yeah, it is overpowered. The thing is, again, it should have never been a thing in the first place and we wouldn't have this problem. But better late than never. Or should it be a thing, but back in original 07, you would lose your untradables on death. So if you want to use Void in PvP, you can, but you will lose it if you die, or you have a huge repair cost of like maybe, I don't know, 2 mil, even more. So no one will really use it unless you want to risk big. And obviously it's the same concept, the player who kills you gets 75% of that. I do agree Void range should be nerfed in PVM situations because people use Void ranged a 42 combat requirement over Armadillo. That's not how it should be. So I don't know, maybe revert it to what it used to be like, 20% only in PvP areas, maybe you lose it on death, or maybe a big cost to repair it. However, there are some really good suggestions that the Void Elite should be like it was before, and then the normal Void is the 10%, because Void Elite requires 100 combat. So maybe that could be a thing, or maybe 15%, maybe not the 20% because it was very overpowered before. Tradable items drop manually from your inventory within the wilderness, dangerous areas in PvP worlds, and dangerous areas in Deadman mode will now appear instantly to all players. This change will prevent players in wilderness or dangerous areas in PvP and Deadman mode worlds dropping items just before they die in order to run back and pick them up. Be cautious with what you bring to these places and consider the risk before you take anything of value. Yeah, true, fair enough. In addition, food and potions dropped within these areas will now never appear for other players. This change does not affect the loot you receive from other players. So that's good in a way if you're one of the teams, but it just makes these deep wildy clans even stronger. But I guess that's the risk of the wilderness at the end of the day. At least no one can steal my shark now when I drop it and, you know, making space for the AGS. That's good. The Karamja General Store has been a long controversial part of Old School. The negativity it creates in the community certainly outweighs the benefits it provides as a piece of content. As such, we have reduced the effect of the Karamja Hard Diary reward, which changes the price of items sold to the store. Items sold there will now be worth less than their high alchemy value. So previously, if you completed the hard Karamja Diaries, which were extremely low requirements, you could sell items to the Karamja store for 1.75 times their low alchemy value, which was a few mil per hour. I remember Lynx Titan over a year ago made a video. He was making 12 mil GP per hour, which completely, again, ruins the economy. It should have never been a thing in the first place. However, a lot of people are upset about this. In more positive news, something you can't argue about, there is now an official RuneScape map. So you can make this full screen. You can customize it how you want. I play in fixed, so I can make it as big as I would like. Well, not as small as you'd like, that's the smallest it goes on fixed. And there's some really interesting options on here. So if I zoom out and I click on maybe bank, it will highlight all the banks, and same with like altars. Super cool. Also, there's now like dungeons, so you can see inside dungeons and it shows where you're going to be teleported to. It's so fucking cool. Also, there's a search option, so let me search for Lava Dragon Isle, and boom, pretty cool. With the release of the Inferno next week, tournament worlds are back. There's now 2 worlds, and you can practice the fight caves in them with your dream setup, so you can get ready for the Inferno. So you've got max stats as always. You can set your stats as well. You can take whatever you want and practice Jad, and also it's a great way to practice PKing with your mates for free. Also, they fixed a typo with Ali the Mayor. They didn't pull it. Are you fucking serious?